After 3 years of dedication, my dad, my own boss, handed the promotion to my sister's husband. 5 weeks. That's how long he'd been there. 5 weeks of showing up late, asking basic questions, and somehow becoming lead. I stood there in the office while everyone clapped. Fake smiles. Forced congratulations. And him, grinning like he earned it. My dad looked at me once. Quick. Avoiding. That told me everything. Say something, my sister whispered, nudging me like this was a celebration I should be part of. So I did. I smiled. Walked up. Shook his hand. Congrats, I said. Then I turned to my dad. Tell Lil congrats too. He frowned. What? I didn't explain. I walked back to my desk. Opened my laptop. Typed one email. Short. Clear. Final. Subject. Resignation. No drama. No complaints. Just facts. 3 years in. Effective immediately. I printed it. Signed it. Walked back into his office and placed it on his desk. He looked at it. Then at me. Face changing fast. You can't be serious, he said. I didn't raise my voice. Didn't argue. I am, I replied. Because this wasn't about a promotion. It was about a decision he had already made. And I had just made mine. What he didn't realize was that I wasn't just leaving a job. I was removing something he didn't even know he depended on. My name is Adrian Cole. I'm 29, and for 3 years I wasn't just an employee in my father's company. I was the system behind it. Not the face. Not the title. The structure. Operations. Client retention. Vendor negotiations. Everything that doesn't look impressive on paper, but keeps a company alive in reality. My brother-in-law, Daniel? He knew how to talk. Confidence. Charisma. The kind of energy that looks like leadership in a meeting. My dad loved that. Always did. He built his business on instinct. I built mine on patterns. That's where we started to drift. You need to be more visible, he used to say. You need to be more accurate, I would think. Different languages. Same company. And for 3 years it worked. Because I stayed quiet. Handled problems before they became visible. Smoothed out mistakes no one ever saw. Including Daniel's. Especially his. The late reports. The missed numbers. The client complaints that never reached my father's desk because I fixed them first. I didn't document those fixes. Didn't highlight them. Because I thought results would speak. They didn't. Visibility did. And Daniel knew that. So when my dad chose him, he wasn't rewarding performance. He was rewarding perception. That's when I realized something important. If you build everything quietly, you can also remove it quietly. And that's exactly what I had just set in motion. You're overreacting, my dad said, pushing the resignation letter back toward me. This is one decision. I shook my head. No, I said calmly. It's a pattern. He frowned. What pattern? I didn't answer directly, because explaining it would turn this into a debate. And I wasn't there to debate. I was there to exit. Daniel is good with people, he continued. We need someone like that in leadership. You already have that, I said. He paused. Where? I held his gaze. You just don't see it. That landed. Not fully, but enough to irritate him. This is exactly what I mean, he said. You do the work but you don't show it. Business doesn't reward invisible effort. I almost smiled, because he was right. And that's why this was necessary. Then you should be fine without it, I replied. Silence. He didn't like that. Not the tone. Not the implication. Adrian, he said, voice tightening, you're making a mistake. No, I said. I've been covering one. That was the shift. Because now it wasn't emotional. It was structural. At 2:17 p.m. I packed my desk. No announcement. No goodbye rounds. Just essentials. Laptop. Notebook. A few files. As I walked out, Daniel clapped me on the shoulder. No hard feelings, right? He said with a grin. I looked at him once. Then said something simple. You'll understand soon. He laughed. Because he thought I was bitter. He didn't realize I was being precise. The first crack showed up the next morning. 9:12 a.m. My phone buzzed. Former client. Adrian, quick question. Who's handling our account now? I looked at the screen for a second. Then replied. They've reassigned internally. Pause. Then. Oh, okay. Because no one's responding. I didn't answer that. Because I already knew why. By 10:03 a second message came in. Different client. Same tone. Hey, we've got an issue with the last shipment. Can you take a look? I stared at it. Then typed. I'm no longer with the company. 3 dots appeared. Stopped. Then. That's not good. No, it wasn't. At 11:40 my dad called. I let it ring once, twice, then answered. What's going on? He asked immediately. What do you mean? I said. Clients are calling me directly. There are delays, missing updates. Daniel says there's no documentation for half the workflows you managed. I leaned back in my chair. Come. He'll figure it out, I said. Silence. Then sharper. This isn't funny, Adrian. I'm not joking. Another pause. Longer. Because now he was starting to see it. Not the work. The absence of it. You handled all of that? He asked. I didn't rush the answer. Yes. That's when it shifted. Because realization doesn't come from explanation. It comes from impact. And impact had just started. By the second day, it wasn't just clients. It was vendors, missed confirmations, unanswered emails, orders stuck in pending because no one knew the approval chain. Things that used to take minutes, now took hours, sometimes days. At 2:06 p.m. my phone rang again. Dad. This time I answered immediately. Adrian, he said, no greeting, I need you to come in. Not ask. Meet. That's not how this works, I replied. You left us in the middle of operations, he snapped. There are systems only you understood. I stayed calm. I didn't take anything, I said. I just stopped being there. That's the same thing right now, he fired back. No, I said. It only feels that way because you never saw what I was doing. Silence. Heavy this time. Then quieter. Daniel can't handle it, he admitted. There it was. Not performance. Reality. He will, I said. You promoted him. That's not the point, my dad said quickly. It is, I replied. Because decisions don't exist in isolation. They create outcomes. You built dependencies without documentation, he said. I almost smiled. No, I corrected. I built stability you didn't notice. Another pause. Then, what do you want? He asked. Not angry now. Measured. That was new. Because for the first time, he wasn't talking to his son. He was negotiating with the person who held the structure together. What do you want? He asked. I didn't answer right away. Because this wasn't about leverage. It was about clarity. I want you to understand the decision you made, I said finally. I do, he replied quickly. I made a mistake. No, I said calmly. You made a choice. Silence. Because those two things aren't the same. Mistakes are accidental. Choices are intentional. I need you back, he said, more controlled now. We can fix the title, the salary, whatever it takes. I leaned forward slightly. That's not what you took from me, I said. Another pause. Longer this time. Then what is? He asked. Trust, I replied. Not dramatic. Just accurate. Because once someone shows you how they evaluate you, you can't unsee it. I didn't mean to undervalue you, he said. I know, I replied. That was the problem. It wasn't malicious. It was natural to him. Which made it worse. Then tell me how to fix it, he said. I exhaled slowly. You don't fix this with a position, I said. You fix it with structure. He didn't understand. Not yet. Come in tomorrow, he said. We'll talk properly. I thought about it, then nodded once. Tomorrow, I said. Not to return. To define terms. Because walking away gives you clarity. Coming back requires conditions. The next morning I walked into the office, not as an employee but as a force of clarity. Daniel was there already panicking. His first question. Where's Adrian? I looked at him calmly. Here. His face shifted, unease creeping in. By 9:15 a.m. the meeting began. Dad, Daniel, department heads, all present. I outlined every gap created in my absence. Every client issue, missed order, delayed project. I had charts, emails, screenshots. Every dependency, every overlooked detail. Dad shifted in his seat, uncomfortable. Daniel fidgeted. This is why promotions require understanding, not appearances, I said, voice steady. No one interrupted. They couldn't. Then I delivered the punchline. All of this responsibility you assumed Daniel could handle, he can't. Not without me. And that's the reality of the choice you made. Dad swallowed. He had finally seen it. Structure versus perception. Daniel's jaw tightened. He realized the trust he had taken for granted wasn't automatic. It had been earned quietly over years of invisible labor. I leaned back, letting the weight settle. I'm not here to punish anyone, I continued. I'm here to reset expectations. If leadership doesn't understand the work, it doesn't deserve the title. Silence again. Heavy. Tense. By noon, the terms were clear. My role, my authority, my boundaries, all re-established. And for the first time in years, the office felt stable. Not because of a title, not because of appearances, but because the work was recognized. I left the meeting room last. Daniel followed, unsure. Dad paused, reflective. Walking out, I didn't look back. Not angrily. Not triumphantly. Just resolutely. They had learned a lesson they couldn't unlearn. And I had reclaimed control. The impact, complete. Weeks later, everything had settled, but differently. Clients called less urgently. Orders flowed. Daniel kept asking questions, double-checking, realizing the gaps he'd underestimated. Dad stopped micromanaging and started listening. The office buzzed with efficiency again, but with a new respect layered beneath it. I never demanded it. I simply showed them the consequences of ignoring reality. Actions speak louder than words, and I had made sure mine echoed in every corner of that building. One afternoon, Dad approached my desk. No apologies, no dramatic gestures, just a quiet acknowledgement. You handled it well, he said. I nodded. I always have. Daniel stayed in the office, but the attitude had changed. He respected boundaries now, realized competence couldn't be faked. The promotion he had coveted no longer felt like a victory, it was a reminder of the lessons he hadn't earned. By the time I walked out of that office that evening, I wasn't thinking about revenge, recognition, or regret. I was thinking about clarity. About how power, responsibility, and trust can't be assumed, they must be demonstrated. I looked at the sunset outside the window, felt the weight of years of dedication finally balanced with understanding. The work I had done, the silence I had held, and the boundaries I had drawn, they had all mattered. No one could take that from me, not now, not ever. And for the first time, walking away felt like victory. Not over them, but over the chaos that had gone unrecognized for far too long. Control reclaimed. Lessons learned. Respect earned. And finally, peace restored.